We're about 9 minutes away from the separation of the modules. That will occur at an altitude of 87 miles. Module separation will be followed about 2.5 minutes later by the Soyuz hitting the first traces of the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 336,000 feet. At that point, Kevin Ford, Yevgeny Tarelkin, and Oleg Novitsky will feel the first tug of gravity at their bodies in 144 days. You're looking at animation of what ultimately will be the deployment of the drogue and main chutes on the Soyuz vehicle to enable it to descend to its landing site to the northeast of the town of Arkalyk. A few seconds before touchdown, the soft landing engines will fire in a final braking maneuver to cushion the impact of the Soyuz against the ground. The International Space Station is currently crossing the west coast of Africa, moving from southwest to northeast. The Soyuz slightly in front of the International Space Station at this moment as it descends towards entry interface, preceded by the separation of the modules that will occur about 7.5 minutes from now.
Kazbek? Inaudible. Copy. We are closing the helmets. You can close the helmets, yes. We are closing it.
The closing of the helmets is a routine procedure in advance of the pyrotechnic separation of the three sections of the Soyuz.
Kevin, did you close the helmet? Yes.
And again, communications between the Russian Mission Control Center and the Soyuz always somewhat choppy as it makes its way towards the traces of the Earth's atmosphere. At this hour, the Soyuz TMA-06M and its three crewmates passing over northern Africa, soon to pass over the Mediterranean as the Soyuz targets
5 minutes before separation.
its landing site 36 miles to the northeast of Arkalyk, a landing site that now appears to be somewhat embedded in fog and low clouds after a clear day in Kazakhstan, a clear evening in Kazakhstan in the overnight hours that were in stark contrast to the fog and freezing rain of 24 hours ago that delayed this landing by a day. The weather conditions and the influx of fog and low clouds over the course of the last 45 minutes to an hour has resulted in some of the search and recovery helicopters either being held in place in the staging town of Arkalyk or being requested to turn around from their transit en route from the staging city of Kustanai just across the Russian border to try to avoid as many helicopters flying in reduced visibility as possible. This is not an uncommon practice on the part of the search and recovery forces who evaluate weather right up until the time of the Soyuz touchdown to determine the ultimate disposition of helicopters and ground support transportation to reach the crew in the most expeditious fashion.
Три минуты до рассеяния.
3 minutes before separation.
Повторите, сколько минут до разделения?
Say it again.
3 минуты до разделения.
3 minutes before separation.
Soyuz Commander Oleg Novitsky confirming through flight controllers of the Russian Mission Control Center that we are coming up on the point of the module separation. The orbital module, the top section.
Go ahead, Roman.
Урывками принимаем, но разобрать можно.
We can understand what you're saying with a very small group out. We have
And okay.
2 minutes, 40 seconds before separation. Copy.
Is that correct?
Да, в 2:30.
2:30. Starting with 2:36. Yes, 2:36. Copy.
По МЛК.
For MLK, 100%. Between 60% and 100% floating, and for parity it's about 40. 40, 50. Okay, copy.
The module separation will be conducted pyrotechnically on automatic computer command.
Program confirmed. Controlled descent confirmed. Copy.
The Soyuz is now more than 200 kilometers away from the International Space Station as it descends toward the Earth's atmosphere. That is beyond the limit of guaranteed space-to-space voice communications through the VHF system relayed through antennas on the International Space Station.
Есть СГ-Разар.
Radar confirmed. Boost-2 confirmed. Copy.
Все тангенты должны быть отжаты.
All PTTs must be released. Transmission buttons
Без фиксатора.
deactivated. We are talking on push-to-talk without restrainer.
Reports from one of the helicopters deployed from Kustanai, the staging city, toward the landing site indicates that they are pressing ahead toward the landing site. Again, it is up to the search and recovery forces to determine which helicopters are able to fly through reduced visibility and which need to turn around toward their landing site. Some of the helicopters may remain on the ground in Arkalyk, and some may press ahead to the landing site. It is not uncommon for the crew to be recovered in an expeditious fashion if visibility or other weather factors prevent all of the helicopters from arriving at the landing site. First and foremost, safety of the crew and the recovery of the crew in the most expeditious fashion.
Prospect Moscow.
Казбеки, Субл Москвы.
Казбек, Mission Control Moscow.
Казбеки, Субл Москвы.
Казбek, MCC Moscow, how copy?
Казбеки, Субл Москвы, как слышно?
Казбek, Moscow, how copy?
Flight controllers at the Russian Mission Control Center attempting to call the crew on board the Soyuz to confirm module separation.
Казбеки, Субл Москвы.
Казбek, Moscow.
Казбеки, Субл Москвы.
Казбek, Moscow.
Once again, a reminder, not at all unusual for no communications
Казбek, Moscow.
between the flight control team in Moscow at the Russian Mission Control Center and the Soyuz spacecraft as it prepares to enter the Earth's atmosphere. This is typical, particularly with the altitude that the International Space Station is currently flying at these days, and the range and the look angle between the Soyuz antennas and the station to relay VHF communications.
Mission Control Moscow, we could copy you, but it's very strong interference. Inaudible.
Казбеки, Субл Москвы.
Казбek, Mission Control Moscow, how copy?
Казбеки, Субл Москвы.
Казбek, Mission Control Moscow.
The Soyuz at this point has begun its entry into the Earth's atmosphere. One report from the Russian Mission Control Center from snippets of telemetry being received there indicates a normal separation of the Soyuz modules. However,
Казбek.
this has not been confirmed by voice from the crew on board the Soyuz.
Казбеки, Субл Москвы.
Казбek, MCC Moscow.